Hey all, Chairwoman from Bedlam Brothers here, and today we're going to be looking at the Circe's iconic solo, Trial of Circe's. As you can see under the radar, I've got the flashing red logo to show that my gear is ruined. I've done that on purpose to show that the gear you're in has no impact on how you play while in the iconic anomalies. For this mission we need to speak to the person with the screaming bowl, and it's going to turn us into an iconic version of Circe. Throughout this mission there's a couple of feats, and I'll be doing it the hard way in order to pick up those feats and show you how it's done. The first thing I'm going to do is not call out any of Circe's pets. So her third skill and her fifth skill are going to call out pets, so we're going to not use those. We're going to use the first move, second move and fourth move, which are her ranged combats, and we're going to use her last move, which is her shield. The other two moves we're going to avoid using. In terms of combat, we're going to use the held ranged attack to do the Hand Blaster's long range combo. The other thing we're going to use is with melee tap hold. The tap hold gets off the biggest amount of damage in the quickest amount of time, and because the AI isn't very intelligent in here, it doesn't matter if we're repetitive. You wouldn't of course be able to do this in a real Legends match because your opponent will figure out what you're doing and counter you, but here we can get away with it because the AI don't know how to counter properly. So first thing we're going to do is take out the two adds guarding the first gate. Once we're done that, we're going to head through this tunnel here. We're going to see in a moment a button that you can press. Throughout the mission there's a series of buttons. Here's the first one, and they're going to aid us. There's a feat for pressing all of them, but there's also a feat for pressing none of them. So on this run through we're going to press none of them. First thing we're going to do is fly over the rock into the first pit, and that'll skip a few of the first adds. There'll be one guard major we need to fight, and there's another one that can see you. They've just seen us now, so we just need to fight both of these guard majors at once. With 2-on-1 it can be a bit of a tough fight, so you might want to pop your shields, pop sodas, that sort of thing, just to get through them. You can see there we're just repeatedly doing the tap hold with the melee button to get that combo off. So after we've got that done, we're going to take a second, catch our health back and get a recharge. What we're going to do is ignore the second button. We're going to fly up and head straight over all of the adds and through the tunnel at the end. You can't avoid every single ad, some of them are going to get their attention. So when we get through the tunnel, we're immediately going to turn right and hide by this tree. What that means is that any of the adds that have spot us are going to neatly queue one by one to come and fight us here without drawing any extra adds than needs be. So we're just going to stand here and use the held ranged attack to cut down any of the adds that did spot us. And there we go, I think that's it. Here we get our first sub-boss. There's a few different options of what sub-boss you can get, but the technique's always the same. There's a healing crystal on the side there that we need to be aware of and use when the time's right. What we're going to do is we just jump in and we're going to start using the ranged attacks, and we're going to be block breaking with the ranged attacks while they're stood there. Get through the powers, the first, second and fourth powers, just in order to get as much damage off as possible. Whenever you see the spinning attack, you do need to block because it's a heavy hitting attack and it won't be countered unless you block. So that's the only interruption to the sequence that you're doing, is in order to block those. So just using the soda there and getting it off as early as possible to allow it to start recharging. And using the shield as well where possible, just to mitigate some damage. Health getting a bit low now, so we're going to head towards the healing crystal. Take the health in and go back to using the ranged attack. Still keeping an eye on those powers and when they're available to be used, using powers 1, 2 and 4. And carrying on as usual. Okay, with this boss ready to go down now, what we're going to do is going to take a short breather here to get our natural regen back before we carry on towards the last bosses. So once our health's full, we're going to head over to the women guarding the door and start taking them out. You'll see that there's a guard and then there's a campaigner. If you take the campaigner first, because their health's quite low, it'll let you fight one-on-one with the guard major. As the guard major is the stronger enemy. Once she's down, I'm going to press the button to open up the gate and carry on. There's going to be 2 enemies on our left that we're going to need to engage. So same again, I'm going to take these out with the ranged attacks. And for this next part, this is the 3rd button. I mentioned we're not going to be pressing the buttons, but if you want to do the run through where you are, this is where the 3rd one is. You can fly over all of these ads. The ones under this archway will see you, so you just speed through and try and get out of the way before any of the previous ads spot you. And then these 2 just need fighting in the same way we fought everything else, just by button bashing the ranged attack and using tap hold on melee. And there we go. Heading through now, we're going to see 2 guards by this doorway before we can go through, so we're just going to need to fight these 2 exemplars. Same again, just popping the shield and then getting back to using the ranged attacks. It's going to take our regen here. You can burn through this quicker if you are using your pets and using a different range of your combos and abilities. This guide's meant to be the easiest minimal effort version that really should be idiot proof. So we can fly over those ads. The person on the steps, we do need to fight her because she'll pull us down otherwise. Okay, now with this crowd up here, we're just going to zap one of them in order to get them split away, so that you don't have to fight all of them at once. You can split a few away from the rest of the herd. I'm just going to fight these 3 here before heading up to deal with the rest. Deal with this exemplar, and then we're ready to head through into the final boss encounter. It's an unskippable cutscene here where Hippolyta's going to speak to us. Just going to have to sit and bear this. You'll summon one of two helpful pets here. You either get a harpy or you'll get a cyclops, and they're going to help you in this battle. And floor disappearing here. That's good and buggy. That's what we like to see. So yeah, we're going to fight the first few ads that pop up, and they're fairly weak ads, nothing to worry about. It's worth noting that at any point during this fight where you need to catch some health back, if you head down the stairs where you came in from, you can just stand behind the wall and it'll take you out of combat and you can regenerate some health. I'll show you that in a moment. There's a health crystal there we'll keep for when we need it. Now after this guard exemplar goes down, there's going to be 3 tougher enemies that come out. You can fight them all together, but for this feat, without using any of your pets or anything like that, I find it easier. What we're going to do is head down to near the bottom of the stairs where I mentioned, and we're going to split them off one by one once they spawn. Just showing you here, if I hide behind the pillar, should be able to just kill them, get out of combat here. So yeah, you can see I'm out of combat now, regenerating my health, even though the enemy's up. So yeah, the other 2 are going to wait politely at the back. What I'm going to do is zap the one closest to us and take them out on a one-by-one basis. And there we go, that's the first one taken out. You can take a breather and catch your breath there if you need to. I'm going to zap the second one now and then move away, and what that'll do is it'll make them follow us away so that the third one will again wait politely while we fight their sister. So same as before, we're just spamming the ranged attack at this point. Can throw in the ranged powers again as we need to. Just using the tap and hold melee combo when they're close. There we go. Third one now, and this is going to be the final one before the main boss fight starts. So just going to draw them all the way back here, and the reason we're drawing them back here is so that when the main boss comes out, we don't have to start straight away if we don't want to. There we go, so the boss is going to come out now and wait for us to start engaging them. We can regenerate our health there if we need to. The other thing worth noting is, I mentioned that you get a sidekick. I've got the harpy here. If your sidekick's died by this point, if you want, you can take a death and come back, and all of the first guards will be dead. It'll just be the boss you need to fight, and your sidekick will be back. So that can be handy at that point if you want to get your sidekick back to help. My harpy's not dead, so I'm going to crack on with the boss. What I'm going to do is hover in the sky so that I'm not hit by those floor-based AoEs, but I'm going to use the ranged attack up until they're at about half health. As for the first 50% of their health, they'll just stand there and eat ranged attack. After about half health, they're going to realise that it's not working, and they're going to start moving close. So there we go, just moved in now. So what I'm going to do is pop my soda. When my shield's cooled down, I'll use that. They do hit for big numbers, so you don't want to stand toe to toe for too long. I'm going to move away and get this healing crystal now. And then carry on with the ranged attacks, cycling through the powers as and when. And nearly down. And there we go. So at that point you get your marks, get your gear, and everything's done. So yeah, just a quick and dirty, easy guide to get through. It's not the cleanest way to get through, but it's definitely the easiest way. You'll see I just used the same moves over and over again, didn't take any deaths, was in trashed gear. So it's got to be the simplest way to get through. If you have any extra tips that I haven't mentioned, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching.